Welcome in the conversation on Lokayat, and we have a very special guest from West Bengal, Mr. V Ramaswamy, who is popularly known as Rama Sangye, and he has been active in the housing right movements on the issues of the Adivasis as well as the urban slum issues in West Bengal. Apart from that, he has been a business executive leader and now a translator also. He has translated a number of books. So this is really an interesting thing because he is the third generation of his family who had third generation of the family that migrated from Tamil Nadu, I think in 1930. So it will be very interesting to know about the history, the family, and how you have mingled up here. Because I don't think if you don't say V Ramaswamy, nobody would ever say you are a Tamil. Probably most of us actually realize that you belong to Bengal and a Bangla family. So welcome, Mr. Rama Sangye or Ramaswamy, whatever you would like to prefer. Just want to know about, this journey of your family from Tamil Nadu to Bengal and how you mingled up, how it
Right,
was like both sides, how like you embraced it and you got embraced.
right. Thank you very much for inviting me to this program. Uh, my grandfather came to Kolkata in 1930. He had a job in Bombay before that. He belonged to Kerala. He was born and brought up in Kerala. You know, there is a small population of Tamil speakers in Kerala,
Yes.
in some regions. So the generic term for them is Palakkad Tamil.
Okay. Okay.
But that is more specifically the Brahmin folk, you know.
Okay.
There are actually, when you are a Tamil Brahmin, you think the whole world rotates around Brahminism, you know,
Yes.
and that everyone is like that in terms of speech, food, culture, language, everything. But it is not. In fact, the Brahmin is a tiny, tiny minority in society. And it took me a while to realize also. So the language that we spoke at home was a mixed Tamil and Malayalam mixture, probably more Malayalam
Tamil.
than Tamil. And I thought that was Tamil. And it was when I was much older, I realized it's not. It's a dialect or a mixed language, and
Okay.
Tamil is quite different. And for that matter, even proper Malayalam is quite different. It also varies by region.
Yeah.
So my father's father and father's mother both were Tamils from Kerala, and my father's father began working at the age of 16 because his father fell ill.
Okay.
He had ambitions to come to Calcutta and study medicine and
Okay.
be a doctor. He was a very bright lad, my grandfather. But his father developed health problems. So, as the eldest son, he had to take up a job. And then quickly, his next brother also took up a job. And they went to Bombay. And they basically contributed to the family for several years. And then from his job in Bombay, his Angrez boss, who took to him and kind of mentored him. So the boss got a job in Calcutta and left. And then a few months later wrote to him saying, I've got you a job here as well. So please come and join me.
Okay.
So that was 1930. My father was a 1-year-old child there. And they came to Calcutta, and my family has remained there ever since in Kolkata. Only my son, he moved 2 years back to Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
He started a farm in the Nilgiri region. So that I'm very happy about, because maybe about 20 years back, I myself started contemplating the return back to South,
Okay.
But there's other uh, disturbing reasons also underlying that.
Mhm.
From about 2017, it began to occur to me that Tamil Nadu is a kind of fortress, in India in the present situation, uh, against this toxic whatever we have that is consuming the country.
Yes.
So the thought behind buying some land in Tamil Nadu was also that,
Okay. Okay.
to have a safe fortress to retreat to. Anyway, so my grandfather came here. He got a job. It was, I guess, uh, kind of low junior office administrative job in the multinational company Philips.
Okay.
But he was very bright and ambitious, and he taught himself various things. And so eventually he retired as the chief accountant of that lamp factory of Philips.
Okay.
Philips started a lamp factory in Kolkata in 1930. It may have been the first lamp factory in Asia,
Okay.
and it was a very ambitious investment by Philips. So and visionary also. So they got together all the leading electrical manufacturing companies of the world, and they all jointly set up this lamp factory in Calcutta. And Philips was also a shareholder in that company, but Philips was the principal shareholder, I think. So they ran it, and the others were also there. So, and my father grew up in Calcutta and studied chemistry, and went to the US to study chemical engineering shortly after the Second World War. So 1948 to 50, he was in the US, and then he returned, and 2 years after he returned, he got a job in Philips itself, in his father's factory, in the technical side, in the engineering side. And then he retired in 1988 after 36 years of service from that same job. Um, and in the course of his career, he was also a leading lamp technologist of India in the 70s. So this mass manufacture of tube lamps, tube light, he pioneered that. I mean, he got the training for that from Holland. Excuse me. And he returned and initiated tube light manufacture in Calcutta. So in all the years that my father and his parents were there and I was with them, I have never heard them speak ill of West Bengal in any way. That can't be said for me, because I grew up in a nasty political climate and ruled by the left front and CPM. So I was always angry, but not my father or grandparents. They had a great sense of awe for Bengal. Even before independence, so many people from different parts of the country were inspired by Tagore or somebody and came and studied in
Yes.
Bharati or lived in Bengal or learned the Bangla language. So it had a magnetic kind of power. So, and my grandparents were never with a sense of loss or that they are missing home. Calcutta was home. And many of my grandmother's relatives, nieces, nephews also lived in Calcutta. So there was a smaller mini family also in Calcutta, and Calcutta had lots of Tamil Brahmins who were in public and private service from the early part of the last century. And my grandfather became a kind of leading member of that South Indian community. For instance, he was once the president of the South India Club.
Okay.
And then some people formed a cultural organization for classical music and dance called Rasika Ranjana Sabha. So my grandfather was one of the founders of that, and throughout his life, he was a trustee of that organization. And growing up from my infancy almost, I have taken in the best of Carnatic classical music and Bharatanatyam and so on. M.S. Subbalakshmi, Bala Saraswati, Lal Gudi, Jairam, what was that other, Mahalingam, all the great stalwarts of music and dance. I've seen them performing even before I was 10 years old. So then after his retirement, my grandfather, just before his retirement, he bought land and built a house on the fringes of Calcutta. Now that is very much part of Kolkata. And he settled down here. And as I said, he never felt out of place or ill at ease because he did well in his career. He had a very strong kind of patriarch personality, and he was confident. He was like the boss. He had a boss type of personality, and he retained that. And he also mellowed over the years and became more and more liberal minded. So he lived till he was 80.
Okay.
So I grew up in Kolkata, and I went away to boarding school in Uttar Pradesh. Now that is Uttarakhand. I studied in Dehradun in the military school there, Rashtriya Indian Military College. So my classmates all joined the armed forces. All are retired now. The last one to retire was the vice chief of the Air Force. He retired a couple of years back, I think. So I didn't join the armed forces. I returned to Kolkata and studied economics and finished my master's degree. And then I went to the UK to train to become a chartered accountant. But almost immediately after I started chartered accountancy, I realized I had no interest in it, and not even enough interest to sustain me to just somehow grit my teeth and complete it and then think of doing other things. No, I couldn't stand it at all. So even while in England, when you do chartered accountancy, you have to work, you have a job, and you have to take exams and all that. So I continued to do that job, but inwardly I had resolved to discontinue. And then there was a public library opposite my hostel in the central London. So I kind of devoured books in that library. I was only reading all the time. And then I left that job and took a low-wage job at McDonald's. And then I was also working as a volunteer tutor at an adult education college in London. This is something I would like to dwell on briefly. It's also something in this juncture for people like us to think about. So, this is the social economics or the economics of altruism. Britain is the only country which has a completely voluntary blood system. All the blood in Britain that is used for medical purposes is donated voluntarily by other people. You cannot sell your blood, and blood is not purchased the UK. In India, you know, blood is sold and purchased. So, and this was, if I'm not wrong, it's a post-war development in Britain. And a social thinker called Richard Titmuss was behind this. It was an experiment, and it succeeded beyond their imagination. When I was a student in Britain, even I donated, and some colleagues of mine, we would discuss, shall we go and donate? So it was a very common thing. So after the socialists came into power in Britain after the Second World War, and first in the central government and then in the following decades into local government and so on. So when the Labour socialists came into power in local government in London, they did a lot of things. So they set up an inner London education authority. So those who are right-wing would see that inner London education authority as the devil personified, because it had such radical left-wing ideas. But these were ideas for the people. And you know what a classist country Britain was and is. So in the face of that, to establish, you know, public equity principles, obviously you will be demonized. So one of the things that I was personally involved in, that the Inner London Education Authority thought that every person should be able to carry on their education throughout their life.
Yeah.
Say you discontinued education at age 15.
Okay.
And then you learned some vocational skill or something, or you took a job. And then at the age of 40, you might want to complete your school certificate, you know, and also the high school certificate. So you had schools or colleges run by the Inner London Education Authority, where a 40-year-old would join and learn all the subjects for the equivalent of our ICSE exam.
Oh, that's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, mathematics, English, history, geography, and you would have principal tutors in those subjects. But given the situation, you've got a 40-year-old learning class 8 algebra, okay? And at every moment inside that individual, there is a tendency to say, no, it's beyond me. I should give up this stupid idea of completing school. It's beyond me. So they're just waiting to admit defeat. So you have to handhold them and boost their confidence and guide them and so on. So that was needed. So the system was, there would be a principal tutor supported by a number of volunteer tutors in that classroom. So the tutor would explain the topic on the blackboard, solve one or two problems, and then the volunteer tutors would sit with the students. And the students were all older than the volunteer tutor. And I didn't miss a single class. I taught English and maths. I didn't miss a single class. I wasn't late. I would cycle down from my hostel or from McDonald's and do my class and go back. And then Margaret Thatcher eventually shut down all these things. And on one of my visits some years back to London, I walked past the adult education college. It is some other kind of institution now. So you had this economy based on altruism. So I was molded a lot by that. And at the end of that course, the tutor, he also had a Calcutta connection. He was Armenian. There used to be a small Armenian community in Calcutta. There still is.
Yeah. There are some churches also I've seen in Hooghly, and
yeah. So this man's family was from Calcutta. His name was Karapiet.
Okay.
So he organized a tea party in the classroom, and then one of my students was a middle-aged Burmese lady. So she brought a small envelope with a small greetings card inside, and she had written, "We will never forget what you did for us." So I was 24 years old, and I'm receiving a card like that. It was a different feeling altogether. One of the treasured moments in my life. So I returned to Calcutta in 1984, and I thought I would work in Madhya Pradesh. There was a experiment run in Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh from the late 70s. There was a gentleman called Anil Sadgopal.
Yes, the right to education.
Right.
Person.
What was the name of his organization? And then also a gentleman called Vinod Raina.
Yeah. Bharatiya Jan Vigyan Samiti.
Right. He set up an organization called Eklavya. I think Anil Sadgopal's organization was called Kishore Bharati.
Okay.
And so what they did in Madhya Pradesh in the late 70s was they made a science curriculum for rural schools and science experiments with low-cost homemade laboratory kit.
Okay.
And things like that. And then those became institutionalized in the curriculum in Madhya Pradesh. So I wanted to work with that group, but that was not to be. Eventually, I came in touch with this person called Jai Sen in Kolkata.
Okay, Jai Sen.
Yeah, he started an organization in 1977 called Unnayan, which means development. So somebody referred me to him, and I just went to meet him in the office. And you could say my life changed from that moment, because they were in the thick of organizing a protest rally against eviction of squatters in Calcutta. So he asked me, "Why don't you join?" and all that. So I joined, and then there was a grassroots organization called Chinnamul Sramajibi Adhikar Samiti.
That I heard about this.
Organization for the rights of uprooted laboring people. So I got drawn into that, and I was in their committee. So my interest in, involvement in, exposure to study, research, grassroots organizing, campaigning, writing, all that activity started in 1984. And soon after that, there was a eviction of workers who had been working on the Calcutta Metro Rail construction.
Okay.
So in the Calcutta Metro Rail, there is a station called Park Street. So where that Park Street station is, near that was a very large settlement beside a lake. And the workers were from Chota Nagpur region of Jharkhand. Then it was Bihar. So unlike the metros of today, Calcutta Metro was built manually, There were no machines.
No.
So there were thousands of workers, laborers in Calcutta digging the earth. And you had the system of cut and cover. So they used to dig these huge trenches and then cover it up with steel plates so vehicles could move. And then they installed the tunnels underneath and all that. So thousands of workers, and then the work had ceased on that section of the metro. So they were all evicted. So I followed up that eviction to find out what had happened and so on. And then eventually I got a friend of mine to join me, and we wrote a report on Calcutta's metro workers. And that was published by APDR, that's Association for Protection of Democratic Rights. And then somebody filed a case based on that against the railways, and that dragged on. But eventually, the High Court appointed a special committee to investigate into it. And after some time, that committee submitted a report saying this is how it is, and nothing can be done about it. And done about what? The fact that all the labor laws of the country were being violated over. So,
Yes.
with impunity. So that was a good apprenticeship for me on law, justice, and the limits of the law. So I returned to Kolkata in '84, but not only did I enter activism, but in a sense, my full-fledged entry into the Bangla domain, the
Yes.
Bangla world, the Bangla political world, the Bangla social world, linguistic world, intellectual world began.
Yeah.
And then I got married the following year. My wife and I had been together in university, and so she also studied in the UK in Cambridge. And after both of us returned, we got married. So obviously, when you get married to a Bengali person, you are part of a Bengali family. So as a Jamai.
So that way, I say actually Bengal is like, as I said, because Bengal is this unique quality, that you embrace the culture, embrace everyone. So many people I've seen from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and outside living in Bengal, and actually making it their home. So I think it's quite different than other states in that matter.
You might remember there was a CPIM member of parliament for many years called Basudev Acharya.
Yes, yes, yes.
He died not so long ago. So
Ji.
I didn't know for a long time. Actually, they are Tamilians.
Ah, okay.
Tamilians settled in Midnapur in West Bengal for more than 200 years.
Oh, I
But
think also
fully
apart from
Bengalified.
because
Fully Bengalified.
I felt like I've seen the Telugus a lot in Bengal, because including Bangladesh actually, because there is a colony of Telugus in many near Dhaka slums. We've seen the people sailing from, I think, Visakhapatnam to Bay of Bengal to hundreds of years back. So I think this Tamil living in Bengal is a new thing for me, at least for me.
Right. So my grandfather remained, and but all his nieces and nephews and so on who were around them in Kolkata, their children have all left, and so the parents have also left with them. So I don't have my greater family around me in Kolkata anymore. Kolkata has changed, and but our house remains there, and I'm there, and I'm fully ensconced here. I live here. My mother is here. My family house is here. My wife is here. Her old mother is here. I set up a Basti organization in Howrah called Howrah Pilot Project in 1997. So I continue to guide that from a distance. So that is over there. The factory which my father started and I am looking after, that is over here. So I'm deeply invested and rooted here. And then 20 years back, I started translating. It was almost on a whim or by accident.
Yes, 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 yes.
But it has become my mainstay now. Defines me. And the translation is also a form of activism.
Yeah, I actually noted one of your statements somewhere you made, like, and that was very interesting. Like the translator bring two languages together or build bridges between the two. But I felt actually it's a little further. A
Yes,
translator actually build bridges between the two culture also.
yes,
I don't think it's merely the two language, because you have to be like, if you are really a translator, like there are many, but there are many professional and there are many who are like quite actively involved in local culture, customs, and engaged with communities. So I think they bring together those cultural value system also.
I agree, absolutely. And the work that I've been doing as a translator is not just any odd
Yes.
that you can read and throw away. These are substantial works. So I'm trying to just bring into the public sphere a body of work by translation from another place and sharing it. And it is a deeply political act. For instance, a book I recently translated, it's called Talash Nama, The
Okay.
Quest. It's based on the Bangla novel Talash Nama is a very successful novel published 3 years ago, and it frontally explores the Muslim question.
Okay.
The question of identity, the question of communalism, the question of poverty and backwardness and lack of education in the Muslim section, principally an orphaned community because they are economically impoverished, and so on. So all these questions are frontally looked at through the lens of a love story and all that. So that book has made an immense impact, in the Bangla readership. For instance, one of the principal characters in that is the Imam of a mosque.
Okay.
And then there are references to madrasas. There's a madrasa student who's one of the characters and all that. So by word of mouth, among madrasa students and so on, they are reading this novel. And before that, they never in their life read a storybook.
Mm-hmm.
They only read their Islamic education related books.
Yeah.
But they're discussing it, their teachers are discussing it. An imam of a mosque hears about it. He also goes to College Street and buys it. So it is something of a phenomenon in the Bengali readership.
Because otherwise, the Maulanas won't allow you to read, at least in the madrasa,
Yes.
A novel or a fictional story. Because
so the book doesn't shy away from exploring troublesome questions,
yes,
and taking a clear stand, but the whole thing is done very disarmingly.
okay,
It is not done violently or accusatorily. It's done disarmingly. So nobody feels
offended with it.
offended. Nobody feels offended by anything because the person saying it is one of us. He's a Muslim writer.
Yes.
It is a man of faith. What Islam and that faith means to him, he explicates in the story itself. But still, he doesn't shy away from taking particular stand.
Yeah,
So,
that's very important, because now when I traveled recently to Bengal, and if I compare it with, say, 10 years back, there was still a quite gap. This time there is a lot of polarization I'm finding out.
yes, all over the
People.
country.
But
All over.
in Bengal, we felt it like a little bit of, because of a long rule of left front, because of a huge history of even the cultural movements there, literary, progressive literary writers. We don't have that much in the Hindi heartland. I can definitely say that way. Bengal, Tamil Nadu, even Kerala, in Marathi language, there are much better literature available than that is existing in the here in the cow belt. Actually, in terms of the relations between different communities, and Bengal, because the Muslim has a substantial presence, including the Dalits. So and probably most of them are actually Dalit Muslim category people. Most of them belong to the downtrodden communities. So that integration has been much more powerful than anywhere else. But now that seems to be under the big, that integration is a challenge here. It's being challenged now.
So the Talashnama was one of the books I translated. So I saw translating that as clearly a political act.
Yes.
And activism in the face of the environment that we are living in now. And after I finished translating that book, Talashnama, I remembered that in 2014, like everybody else, all of us had this moment. So what is to be done now?
Yes.
Right? All of us in May 2014 asked, so what is to be done now? So I realized what I did. I only translated. And that was my response. And
Oh,
that was
that's a very I think a very wise decision, a very important thing for us, because far away, as I'm saying that I've been recording these conversations for the last 20 years, and just with the aim to create a kind of an archive of people with who have worked on the ground, and so that far away from the whole imagination of likes and dislikes and market.
yeah.
Because
So
sometimes market actually influence our thought process, and sometimes we are actually avoiding all those questions that are confronting us just to appease the market. So I think
exactly.
we need to do away from that and continue this work as you are saying. That's what I wanted to say, that it is really essential that we do work according to our conscience, what you said.
Right. So translation is part of the publishing industry, but that is a commercial oriented establishment. So many translators are professional translators. They are
Yes.
commissioned by a
Yeah.
publisher to translate something. But I find my own works to translate through my own
Yeah.
radar and network and so on. I come across particular authors and books, and I get a sense or get some intelligence report from somebody that this is a very important work. So I translate it. I don't read it and then decide to translate it. I have decided to translate it based on intelligence reporting. So
So your
I
own
have
intelligence
that,
report.
and I have set of antennae. I'll give you a clear example. The same book, Talashnama. I wake up every morning, and while I'm having my morning tea, I'm going through the Facebook on my phone, and so there was a post by a friend of mine. His name is Ikramul Sheikh.
Okay.
So he posted an article by another friend of mine. His name is Shomitro Dostidar, who's a documentary filmmaker. So Shomitro Dostidar wrote an online article about various places he had traveled to in West Bengal and various people he met and all the interesting things that those people are doing. So one of the things he mentioned was he met Ismail Darwish. He has written this novel called Talashnama, which is making waves. So just that brief reference in his article, which was carried in a post by another friend that I came across. And by afternoon, I was speaking to the author and I had got his consent to translate that book.
So you
And
translate mainly in Bangla to English or
only Bangla to English.
Bangla to English?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's.
I studied Bangla for 3 years in elementary school before I left for Dehradun.
Okay.
So that has served me well. It enables me to read, but I was never a reader of literature in Bangla.
Okay.
After 3 years of learning Bangla in school, I never read Bangla after that. I could read street signs and cinema posters and so on, and newspaper headlines, but I never cared to read anything in Bangla, any book, any article, nothing. But I saw Bangla cinema all right, and heard Bangla music also, but not Bangla literature. And even now, I don't read in Bangla for pleasure. I read only for translation.
Okay.
So all my pleasurable reading is in English, but now even that has stopped because there's no time. If I'm working 8 hours a day translation, where
Yeah.
can I read?
So is it Talash Nama is a Bangla novel or is a Urdu novel?
Bangla novel.
So it has been translated into English by.
Yeah, by me. And so the the title Talash Nama, Talash means the search or the
Yeah.
quest. So according to the author, the search is for the question of what is the most fundamental problem of the Muslim community. So the search for the question of what is the most fundamental problem, which therefore leads to, so therefore that is what must be done. If that is the problem, then that is where the
What is the English name of the book? It is Talash Nama itself?
Talashnama, the quest.
Okay. I think you translated Manoranjan Vyapari's work also?
Three-part novel. It's called the Chandal Jivan trilogy. The last part came out recently.
Okay. So these all three parts are now in English available.
Right. Then another important work, Adhir Biswas is a writer. He's also a prize-winning writer. He is also a refugee. His father was a barber. So Adhir Biswas came to Calcutta at the age of 12 or 13 from East Pakistan, and with an elderly father and 3 or 4 brothers, and they lived in acute poverty for many years. But he nursed the ambition to be a writer. And then he had a low-paying job in the Anandabajar group as a proofreader. They never even gave him a single increment or promotion or anything. And he retired as a proofreader. But meanwhile, he had already written and won prizes for his books. He started his own publishing company. It's called Gangchil. So Gangchil is an important small kind of quality press in Kolkata. The kind of books they publish are not published by anybody else. So this author, Adhir Biswas's memoirs of his refugee life, 4 books under one cover, I translated in English. And then one book of his is in press now. That was a 3-part childhood memoir. So that is coming out as a single book also shortly. So as I said, my antennae pick up such works, such authors, or some particular people whom I respect. They tell me to look at this work, consider translating it. And so I do it. And I have 6 books on my list now. I'm currently working on the first. I hope to finish by December of next year, and then I will take a break from translation. I want to be once more in a situation of having nothing to do.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important. That's very important for many like people who are like too engrossed with their work for long.
You can get burnt out.
Yeah, there is a need to do nothing. Sit, enjoy, sing songs, do some cooking, or maybe have some, sit on the bank of a river and, just watch people fishing.
No, but when you mentioned that, I was just thinking of your long journey.
Yeah.
Somebody could say you went on a holiday.
Yeah, many people think actually that way.
Somebody could say it was a research project. Some people could say it is an intellectual journey. Some people could say it's a spiritual journey. So it's wonderful that you have kept all your faculties alive and I guess buzzing during this long journey.
Yeah, actually,
Your eyes are taking in something. Your mind is remembering something. It's trying to relate. How is this in Uttarakhand and this in West Bengal? Is there a connection? Millions of thoughts are buzzing in your head. You're making new acquaintances. You're learning something new every day. You're meeting people from all walks of life. So, and seeing the real India.
Absolutely.
I keep saying that when you see the real India, then you can never be without hope.
Yes, that I agree with this. This absolutely many people ask me, and I say there are numerous ideas. Once I finish this journey here, and actually my plan is to go to Bangladesh also. It was actually in November, but the crisis was there, so I had to just postpone it. And I'm hoping that January, I will be able to go January, February next year. I'm not sure how is the situation or whether the visa and all these things are the same right now. But I had actually planned it because my aim was like to cover this entire thing and then write about these issues from different angles. One is the environmental angle, other is the cultural viewpoint, the whole different empires, kingdom that actually flourished on the Ganges. So there are different thoughts, many ideas came, and I think many things I never knew because I crisscross those areas where normally people don't go, and it's quite difficult to reach, particularly the confluences, Jones. So that is where when I was coming to Kolkata, I had actually thought I had lot of questions about Bengal and about the crisis. What I saw the river from from the mouth, like in Giria, that when it just the river makes a separate channel from Ganga at Giria village, and then it starts towards Jangipur and Berhampur and other places. But yes, it has been really eye-opening thing for me because initially I had a lot of questions about like where is Hooghly, where is Bhagirathi, how is this? But for that I had to rely a lot on the old-time documents, reports that the British has done actually. And I would say whatever criticism we can make about them, they did a lot of studies here in India. I think after that, we have not taken any track or anything. This commissioner's report, this how this whole project of Hooghly, if we are seeing these water bodies here, I think we must thank the British engineers and planners that time. It is they who actually for years, they had reported that there were no water in the Bhagirathi actually during the summers, and they would report it. And they had been planning long because they wanted to make Kolkata a kind of that link, the waterway from Kolkata to London, and that way they also developed similarly actually Dhaka, because Dhaka doesn't have its own that too is a very small river, some I don't
Budi
know,
Ganga.
Budi Ganga. This and here it is like Hooghly. So the same they have developed those channels and diverted water to these places so that they can rely on the waterways towards other countries. So the thing that I wanted actually to ask you and your experience living in Bengal, and which was like I was very curious in certain things, and you worked in eviction, and I know that in 2000, I think 2003, 4, I was there a number of times when just in a Belilius Park, we saw this whole eviction and how
Eviction.
huge this 5,000 families of the Valmiki communities, particularly from North India. And that time, I realized one thing, while I appreciated, respected West Bengal, but I also felt like nobody stood for them. And it was a quite disappointing thing. No political party. CPM was in power for long. They were like ruling, but again, nobody came to rescue these people. And somebody took shelter under the guise of the environmental laws and, went to the court. I think it's some Lakshman Seth or somebody, I don't know who is that, CPM related member of parliament that time. And then these people were evicted overnight without giving any alternative avenues. So this is a sad part actually in a state which rise up so powerfully actually, and every now and then on any violence or any issue, protest have been a part of Kolkata's daily life actually. You have been there. So why is this that this issue could not attract the people?
Yeah, this is the dark underbelly of Bengal. It's also called caste.
Yes, that's true.
So, yeah, progressive Bengal and the left and all the social movements and so on left the caste issue unaddressed. Now, though in one form caste is invisible in a city like Kolkata, uh, people from every background are living together, moving together, eating together, and all that. But still, those who have the eyes can see how the various barriers are maintained, most of all mentally. So, and there is a blending of caste and class to broadly create the category called Choto Lok.
Okay.
I don't know whether there is what the Hindi equivalent of Choto Lok is. Literally means small people.
Yeah.
But low people, lowly,
Lowly
niche,
people.
niche. But when we say niche in Hindi, we mean that somebody is inhuman,
Yeah.
outside the purview of high values and value system and so on. So they don't abide by values. But here we say Choto Lok, that means they belong to the lower castes. So they are not equal to you. They exist for your exploitation. And they exist for your enrichment. So when you live here and you are born here, you imbibe this so thoroughly that you are blind to it. So the whole CPM movement never addressed the caste question frontally. In all their 34 years of power, they never had the ambition to eradicate illiteracy. Can you imagine? If you were the chief minister of a state that had millions of illiterate folk, wouldn't one of your first priorities be to remove illiteracy, to give the dignity of reading and writing to every citizen in your state? And CPM ran the National Literacy Mission with all tamasha and drama, with nothing achieved of substance. Nobody got literate, but they did a lot of noise, and they falsified the exam that the neo-literate has to take. They rigged that also. And then they collected the medals and the certificates for best district and all that, but all sham. So that just shows how much of an erosion of basic human values had taken place within the CPM. And CPM had been reduced to a party that existed purely for the purpose of empowering the party. A party that exists to empower the party at any cost. And people are instrumental for that. People do not matter on their own. There are no rights of people. There is only power of the party, and everything else is secondary to that. So through growing up in CPM West Bengal, they came when I was 17 years old in university, and then they exited only when I was 51 years old. So I saw through them. Initially, I was also a supporter and voter and so on. And intellectually, I was Marxist leaning anyway. But there's no connection between Marxism and what CPM was. And all the things that we see now at the national level and in other states in India, thanks to a particular party, have all been already demonstrated by CPM in the past, So it was a huge, not loss, the damage that the CPM did to West Bengal by not addressing fundamental issues of caste. And the party leadership was all upper caste. And there was a scheduled caste leader of the CPM. What was his name?
Kanti Vishwas. Kanti Vishwas.
Right. And he
Kanti
was,
Vishwas. I
right.
think he was the
He-
education minister or something.
Right. So he wrote his memoirs in Bangla.
Yeah. I heard about that.
And
Yes.
there was a review of that in the mainstream magazine.
Okay.
And I read that. It was a long obituary. No, it was a long review of that book, and they quoted particular places. So one of the things he writes in his book was that after he became education minister,
Yeah.
he was called to the party office in Alimuddin Street.
Okay.
And the party supremo then, more powerful than Jyoti Basu even, was Pramod Dasgupta.
Mhm.
He was one of the founders of the CPM in '64. So Pramod Dasgupta called Kanti Vishwas, education minister, to Alimuddin Street and showed him a file of letters
Okay.
that people in West Bengal have written that you can make him any minister, but don't make him education minister when he is an untouchable. So that shows you West Bengal. It shows you leftist mindset.
But is
and
that
all
the
that.
reason? Is that the reason why the CPM is completely decimated and swept away in Bengal? Because it never raised those issues, which could have been its bigger strength today.
Right, and it had industrial worker base. Industry is gone completely. Industrial trade unions are eroded completely. And among the middle class, here today, gone tomorrow. So middle class has also abandoned the CPM. And but meanwhile, the caste question, even if not better late than never, you have Dalit organizations in West Bengal, you have Dalit literature in West Bengal, you have Dalit literary journals in West Bengal.
Yes.
This gentleman,
Manohar Mauli Vishwas,
Manohar Mauli Biswas in particular, has played such a stellar role in
brilliant. I have interviewed him once, and it's absolutely
Dalit literature, Dalit publishing, Dalit translation, all that. And under his umbrella, so many more writers and poets and all have come up. And there is a Dalit Sahitya board also in West Bengal.
Yeah.
Manoranjan Bapari is the chairperson of that. And consciousness, some particular events are very important, like that Rohit Vemula incident of 2016.
Yeah.
It served to cast the light on caste and attract the attention of so many people.
One of the things I felt like the sensitivity of the people about caste is too much in Bengal. One thing is there that, I love people, I love food. I know that liberalism is there in Bengal. But this one thing, if you speak about caste question, like I know in 2000, when I was quite engaged on the manual scavenging issues, bringing out, and I came to Bengal, and I found that the manual scavenging are officially being done through the nagarpalikas, the mahapalikas, the corporations, Havada Municipal Corporation, all this thing, and I stayed at the houses of these people, mostly the sanitation worker, the manual scavenging people from North India.
North India.
Yeah, most of them from Haryana, from Punjab, from not Punjab, Haryana, UP, Bihar, Delhi. So there are a large number of them, and their condition have been terrible because if they report to that there is a scavenging thing, they have to go down, they have to clean the private toilets, and this because in all other parts of the country, the private toilet cleaning was just a personal matter, not through the municipalities. But in Bengal, that was being done through the municipalities. And when I brought this issue out, you'll be surprised that, many of the people from the left actually were very upset with me. And, they felt that even the magazines supporting the left so-called, high national paper, secular liberal paper, people working there actually suggested me, please don't be that critical. This will not help you because the problem is people like us who are not part of any organized group. Organized secular, organized liberal, organized left, organized right. Then life for them is much more difficult than those who are part of the organized structure. And this is like how they boycott you, how they threat you. Because this boycott remain not open, it's silent. You will be avoided. They won't call you in the meetings, and they will claim this is so. So what I was saying is that rather than accepting this issue that this exists in Bengal, there was a flat denial by that time left front minister who said that there is no manual scavenging. And a magazine like Frontline actually carried this story that Bengal has won the battle against manual scavenging, where it was actually being.
Nice. Yeah.
It's very sad part.
If you made hypothetically, if you noted down the surname of every person in West Bengal or belonging to West Bengal, then collated them and grouped them, people like you and me will not recognize 90% of those surnames. So all the names of Bengali titles that we know, Chatterjee, Mukherjee, Banerjee, Ganguly, Bhattacharya, Biswas,
Dasgupta,
Guha, Dasgupta, Sengupta, Sen, Ghosh, and many more. And then there are so many more, and they're all caste titles, occupational titles, and so on. So Bengal is a society of peasants, fishermen, artisans, craftsmen, and these are all rural-based folk. And Bengal is a land of soil and water management.
Absolutely.
And fisheries. And it is receiving the rich alluvial silt of the whole Ganges right on its lap. Bengal receives the blessings of the Himalayas on its lap. There seems to me a kind of divine destiny in operation there. This is intended to be the rice bowl of South Asia. So now, if you look at the common folk associated with all that, they are not the babus, they are not the leaders, they are not the business executives, nothing. They are disempowered rural citizens. So if there has to be economic transformation or economic revolution in Bengal, that has to be preceded by a social revolution, social transformation, which means that all these so-called choto lok who are doing these lowly occupations, when it will be realized that those are not lowly, but glorious occupations. They are ecological managers, they are environmental managers, they are ecology managers, they are sustainability managers. When that dignity of vision is given and social dignity, and they are empowered with education and technology and skills and capital, then there's no looking back. And I would like to think it is unstoppable. It will happen. Like gravity, if you throw a ball, it has to fall.
Yeah, because, it's so important. As you said, and I loved your defining, when I was asking you, and this took me actually when you said the Bengal have this, the fisher folks, the artisans, and, even the trains. It is the largest number of actually unorganized sector people. If you see, even board any train, local train, when we board from Kolkata to any place, it's a life actually. I can say that you can't get in a AC compartment when you go in those trains, and you get everything that you desire. Thing. Right. And everywhere this food is very cheap and so diverse and so good. So one thing came in my mind, just because when you said that, Bengal need this renaissance from this side, I was just thinking And this question is for you because as a literature, a person of literature and art, is art and literature created somewhere to dominate the culture? And now that is where those who have been historically denied spaces are creating their own spaces and own culture and own literature. How true is about Bengal now?
No, so I mentioned this writer Adhir Biswas. After I had finished translating his books, the thought that came to my mind was, when a section of humanity has remained silent throughout history, they are silent, so they are never heard, they're invisible, they don't exist, as it were. But when they start speaking, when they start writing, then what happens? So the environment in which they write, into which they put out their writing and their voices, existed without them. It had its own internal structure and conception. And these people were as if they didn't exist. That means it is literature in a world that excludes the most. Literature, high literature,
yes,
belongs in a domain that excludes the most of the humanity. Yeah. Because most of humanity is marginalized in one form or the other. The whole of Africa, large parts of Asia, so many more regions are, of course, India must be one of the worst, because there is an aspiration everywhere for improvement. In India, it is accepted by our powers that some people will be extremely wealthy and many will remain absolutely poor, so that the wealthy can remain wealthy. That is the ambition of our rulers. They don't want to eradicate poverty. When I studied economics, after all that I took home from my master's degree was poverty and the eradication of poverty. So that is not the situation now. So the social revolution which liberates the downtrodden, socially downtrodden. So when these people start speaking, they turn the world upside down, quite literally. That domain of literature, with its notions of what is high literature, low literature, good, bad, desirable, undesirable, all those notions are turned upside down by somebody, a Dalit, who speaks or writes, because he is not conforming to those aesthetics.
yes,
He's conforming to another journey. He's coming from somewhere, he's going somewhere, and he's broadcasting his anger on the way. He's not there to sit and write in your style. So Shubhimal Mishra, the writer I translated for many years, he said in Bangla, I mean, like, what the fuck is literature in a society of mass literacy, mass illiteracy?
Yes.
What the hell is literature in a society of mass illiteracy? So though he was almost an iconic figure, not wealthy or nothing, he was known for his unconventional writing, and he had an almost cult following. Despite that, his personal sense of almost shame at being a writer, because he felt that in a society of mass illiteracy, if somebody is a writer, that writer has to inevitably see himself or herself in the larger context. And if you're as sensitive as Shubhimal Mishra, you will only be full of shame, not pride, only shame.
Yeah, that's true actually, because that is where the gap between the writers and the communities, and that's why I say that they are looking their own ways to express. And as you said, many of these new writings, like Manoranjan Vyapari's writing, like Manohar Mauli Viswas's writing, they are now jolting the the established
let me
norms
give
and
let me give another example of art. Today is Mahalaya. It begins the Durga Puja season.
yes, yeah.
So the last 25 years, Durga Puja in Kolkata has witnessed something new, which is that artists, practicing artists, those who have graduated from colleges of art with a Bachelor of Fine Art degree or a Master of Fine Art. So part of their art practice is doing Durga Puja. So the pujas are organized by puja committees, which are geographically based in different parts of the city. So there is an association that is organized, which is old and has been doing Durga Puja for many years. So the puja committee will have dialogue with an artist and appoint him as the artist for this year's Durga Puja. So that artist comes with his own concept of how he's going to make the idol, what the concept of the idol is, how the space will be used, what will be the lighting, all that. So I had the opportunity to do some translation work for one of the leading Durga Puja artists of Kolkata. His name is Bhabatosh Sutar. He's from East Bengal. He came to India in 1973. He is Namashudra.
Okay.
So a Namashudra boy who had to be sent away to an orphanage because his parents couldn't afford to raise him. He has become a leading Durga Puja artist in Kolkata. And he's at the cutting edge of Durga Puja art. It has transcended completely the old notion of Durga Puja, of Devi and the image and all that. It is a temporary art installation or a political art installation or a social art installation. It is an installation provoking you to think. So this is just one artist I had the opportunity to work closely with and observe his work and understand him. So I had a friend from, he belonged to Bastar, now he lives in South India. So he was here last year and I took him to meet this Durga Puja artist and so on. So in the course of his conversation, he said, this could only happen in Bengal, isn't it? So there is an art movement in Bengal. I met another person last year. He's an art teacher. He graduated from art college and he started teaching art in villages and small towns around Howrah. And I have a close friend who's a photographer, who's my age. He also studied in art college, but he said he got admission into art college because he learned art from that man. And he was that man's first student. So he's been teaching art for more than 40 years. Many of his students have got entrance into art college in Kolkata. Getting admission to art college in Kolkata is as difficult as getting into IIT.
Yes.
And most of the candidates are from rural background, not at all English medium. The real sons of the soil. And that also means mostly backward caste or scheduled caste, rural. So these are the artists. Many of them have gone on to become successful artists. Some of them are Durga Puja artists. So can you think of any value being given to art in Madhya Pradesh or Haryana?
Yeah, that is true.
I
think that we have to appreciate Bengal actually.
If a bunch of children are going at 9 a.m. on Sunday, rushing with their art books for the 2-hour art class. People will ask them, कहाँ जा रहे हो? वो art सीख के क्या होगा?
बिजनेस करो हैं स्टॉक मार्केट में लगाओ.
So I think another phenomenon is happening in Kolkata. Very large number of cafes, restaurants, eateries are opening in Kolkata. Equally, some of them are closing, but in net terms, they are growing. And Calcutta is apparently one of the best venues for the food business in India. So this is also a kind of art, culinary art, food art. So the arts are happening as part of the economy. If you look at Durga Puja, multi thousand crores are involved in Durga Puja.
Absolutely, yes.
And thousands of people are under its ambit. Artisans, craftsmen, painters, electricians, bamboo artisans, all kinds of people. And the trickle down is very strong. Then the drummers who come to play the drum, they belong to that community. So and all much of their earning is in this 1 week in Kolkata, they make their earning. So in the 25 years of this new concept of Durga Puja art, where trained artists do Durga Puja, that didn't exist before. So in 25 years, a huge new economy has been created. Similarly, in the last 10 years or so, this huge new economy around food has been created in Kolkata. So the arts are critically tied to the common folk. So art is not the Babu's domain.
Yes. I think in Bengal that is reflected very much. Art with the common folks.
Common people's life produces the art, whether as craft, artisan, or the Durga Murti. It is the common folk, and these will. I think what that signals is that social revolution cannot be postponed anymore in Bengal. See, we had such a big movement in Kolkata streets since August. There was a disaster, tragedy with a doctor being murdered and all that. So there is justified protest going on. But there is no protest on caste. You might remember as a caste activist, you might remember this famous name, Chuni Kotal.
Yes, I have heard about it. Yeah, absolutely. Chuni Kotal and the one of the biggest thing at the achievement of Jyoti Babu was the Marchi Jhapi massacre, actually.
Right.
And nobody accept that. And Bengal people, even majority of the upper middle class, don't even know about that existed.
So this movement didn't take place for Chuni Kotal. So that caste sensitivity is not there. So that doesn't matter. Social revolution doesn't happen at the mercy of Babus.
Yes.
It will erupt from the grassroots.
But do you think that the social revolution can be actually co-opted by the right-wing forces at happening elsewhere? Because when the left become the symbol of Brahmanism, and the same Brahmanism is transferred to now Trinamool Congress or Congress Party, who don't give spaces to the other communities at the level that they are required. The Hindutva forces might use that, and they will bring the issues of the Dalits from East Bengal, basically the Namushudras who have been tortured or who have been excommunicated or who are forced to exile in India now, come back to India. All those issues may be right or wrong, but they are raising those issues.
Very much. Hindutva forces are at work in West Bengal already. And several of their members of parliament and members of legislative assembly are from that section also. So that community and its leaders have to realize that they are just voter bloc,
Yes.
a vote bank for the party. They don't matter. The people don't matter. So, in that hope, I live that there will be a social revolution in West Bengal. But more broadly, from 1947, we have crossed 75 years. I like to think that in a future India, all these years will be less than a footnote.
Okay.
Meaning we will have such a radically different India. The India in which caste is annihilated is unimaginable to anyone living in India today.
Yeah,
right?
that is the question. Even the oppressed think that it has to be a reverse order of caste system. That's very, very dangerous.
No. So the first thing is needed is imagination.
Yeah.
Let people imagine what zero caste means. It is so deeply ingrained in our fabric, in our thought process,
I
in
think
everything. So and so this is where young Dalit activists and young Adivasi activists, their biggest contribution, and only youth has imagination and the power of imagination and the fire of imagination.
yeah,
So,
particularly respecting the individuals, because
right.
once the individual doesn't get an opportunity to fly high according to his ambitions and according to his choice, we will always be in the same, categories and groups and things. So,
Completely.
as Dr. Ambedkar has always said, India need to respect individual and individuals' choices. And once that become a melting point, because this time what is happening is this: the individual thought process is being curtailed, diverted, and being made irrational. And as you see in most of the states these days, the individuals can't even marry according to their choices. There are
Right.
laws, there are love jihad laws, there are other laws. So basically, they want us to go back to our castes and marry according to the whims and fancies and choices of our parents. So that, as long as this will be a tug of war between the two thought processes in India.
Yeah. So once the dignity of every individual, that means the dignity of every person belonging to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, and so on. The new India, the nature of the economy, the nature of society, the nature of public culture, the nature of the education system, all that will be so unimaginably different that all these years that we've been living through will be a forgotten memory, will be part
I
of the
hope so.
old India.
That is a very good. I would say you are actually hoping an issue, and I must appreciate that hope, because sometimes we all get depressed with the situation all around. So
No, because the caste system is fundamentally unnatural,
yes,
unscientific. It goes against the grain. It's like saying I'm throwing a ball up in the air, and then I've got a very powerful machine like a fan, which is creating this air stream that holds the ball in the air.
so it should not come back.
So it shouldn't fall down. But the moment the power goes off or that machine conks out, the ball has to fall to the ground.
Yeah,
So,
I
so
think
it
it's very good.
is like
That's
caste system defies gravity almost.
yeah.
So it has to crumble unless the state and state violence descends and holds it together. It cannot survive. So so one has to look
Oh, thank you
beyond.
so much. Yeah, yeah.
And so much has happened since the demise of Dr. Ambedkar. There has now a critical mass of Dalit students has been produced in the country.
Yeah.
We have a critical mass of highly educated Dalits.
Yes, that's
okay.
true. Absolutely.
They are not going to say Ji Hujur to anybody.
Yes.
They are
They
not
are
going to bend. And as
Yeah.
many as opportunists and timid people are there, equally there are radical, brave, courageous, outspoken, articulate, brilliant Dalit students. There is a critical mass of Dalit PhDs in Europe and America. So we are going to see the downstream effects of all these in time. When they tried to intervene in JNU or
Yeah.
Hyderabad Central University, that was just trying to put down the critical mass that has
Yes,
been
yes,
achieved.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
cannot swallow the confidence of a youth like Rohit Vemula.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't. They want to tell him, "तुम अपने औकात नहीं जानते हो," but they can't say it.
Yes, yes,
It is politically incorrect. But so
yes.
they killed him or made sure that he took his life.
Yeah, yeah.
You must see this film made by Deepa Dhanraj called "We Have Not Come Here to Die."
Okay.
It is about the Rohit Vemula case.
So, thank you so much. Before I allow you to go, I would ask you one question, which is maybe A and B. One is how and when did you become Rama Sangye from V Ramaswamy? And what is Sangye means? That is one thing.
Right. So
yeah.
it's just coincidence. Ramaswamy, when I opened my Gmail account
Okay.
20 years ago, it wasn't available for my name Ramaswamy. And then I tried Rama full stop Swamy. That was also not there. So I remembered that Sangye, Sangye,
Yeah.
is a Tibetan word, and it basically means what Swami means.
Oh.
Sangye is also the word by which they refer to the Buddha.
Okay.
So and when I started my Facebook account, the name of that account had to be related to the email. So it became Rama Sangye, and then I didn't bother to change it.
So, but as a translator, you use V Ramaswamy only.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And thank you for clarifying this.
Your second question?
The second question is about the environmental crisis, because you are in Bengal, you have seen what is happening. So I would like to just have an assessment of what is the like I went to Sundarban, where we are hearing that some villages will disappear after some time. So how do you see this whole environmental issue on the banks of the Hooghly and till Sundarban? And how should we address it?
Once again, I'll refer to your journey, and so much you would have seen, and I imagine you would have been very disturbed about also. So climate change and global warming, environmental impact, we are sitting in one of the hot spots of that in Bengal. Yes. West Bengal and Bangladesh, with complex river systems, and several parts of West Bengal are flooded at this moment.
Yes.
There have been terrible floods in Midnapur, in Malda, with areas being washed away. Similarly, in Bangladesh, Sundarban's islands are sinking. So that is the most disturbing part. The climate crisis and the future for West Bengal is very serious. As yet, neither the state nor society has woken up to it and is doing anything meaningful. And less said about the central government and its bureaucracy that is now an apparatus for another objective altogether, not a better future for the people. So it is the leading issue of concern now, the climate crisis in South Asia actually, and in East Bengal, West Bengal and Bangladesh. So, and if you had to address the climate crisis in West Bengal, then it would mean social revolution, because those who can address it have to be empowered. those who are addressing it have to be empowered. They know more than anybody else about land, soil, water, rain, how it has been changing. All the age-old wisdoms that the farmers had, that if it is the 13th day of June, then you must do such and such. So there will be little rhymes and so on. All those have become irrelevant now. The patterns have changed. Uh, you have uh, fewer rainy days, and some of those rainy days are extremely heavy rain.
Yeah.
You know, so these kinds of new patterns have come in. So if anybody could lead the solution of the crisis, it's the sons of the soil, and they have to be brought to the fore, and that may have some hope for the future. So the social revolution is directly connected to addressing the climate crisis.
Basically, the communities, the indigenous people who have actually lived in complete harmony with nature.
Absolutely, absolutely.
They need to come up, and they need to, because what has happened in the last 50, 75 years, we have made them more vulnerable, fighting for their day-to-day needs. Now, every year there is floods at this point of time, and I see a huge, large part of Bangladesh, large part of Bengal under the water. And again, when the water recedes, there is a huge dryness. So you see the desertification of these lands. And we see no proper attempt being made to engage the communities, because when the solutions are being provided, they are being provided from Delhi. Why shouldn't the engagement of the communities? And this is the biggest crisis in today's decision-making bodies, because they think, they are knowledgeable people, civil servants, they know everything.
Yep.
Almighty, omnipotent, omnipresent, and they know everything. So, and they look down upon the people. So people have become, the communities have become virtually beggars, actually. These experts are talking about, so they will provide a solution by giving a contract to some companies, probably from Gujarat these days.
Yep.
And they come there and they will put some machine and all these things, and they will say, we are giving you the solution. So how long? Because this is the biggest challenge to India, where people are not engaged, people are not involved in the decision-making process, particularly on these kind of issues which relate to their life and death, actually.
You would remember after the emergency, all these grassroots organizations came up. The word NGO didn't exist then.
Yeah, absolutely.
We used to say social action group, social organization, action groups, and so on, or voluntary organization. Only in the late 80s, World Bank and UN created the term NGO. But before NGOs, you would know, after emergency, if Tilonia is an example, SWRC, the spirit with which young, educated young men and women went to work in villages, and set up organizations and think about agriculture and long-term transformation and rural economy and education, and the passion and the feeling that they had. In contemporary India, is there any subject on which people have passion and feeling except money?
Yeah, that's true.
Is there anything for which there is passion and feeling other than money?
Yeah, money making, and that is the biggest achievement. That's what being promoted on television, and they are saying what is wrong in earning money. So if you earn, it has a direct relation with people not earning the money. so if you say that somebody has earned billions of rupees, and we must celebrate for him, I think we should not celebrate for him, because he is making others the beggars. It's not true that just some people become billionaires and it's their achievement. If you see the thing, fact of the matter is, this system need to, like we talk about Garibi Rekha, we need to have an Ameri Rekha also.
No, and the fact that he grew rich is because he could keep people at marginal level.
Yes,
With
yes.
large numbers of people being kept at marginal level, there is a huge amount of surplus that can be looted.
Yeah, and that is where, see, nobody want to talk about this, the level of, there should be a level playing field. There should be a very categorical thing that a human being need how much of money. You need every luxury of life, obscene luxury of life, which we saw in industrialist, showing how his son was getting married. And so last 1 year, the son was going to so many places, palaces, anywhere. So the country has to be, country is just like, who has come? This fellow, this star, superstar. So these are the things, because how the popular media and popular narrative want to make us feel proud of their, money making thing. So we are happy with somebody making 500 crore rupees. I'm not making a single rupee for that, but I should be happy and clapping for them. And that is what, today's media and today's things. So this is what capitalism has done to our system. Asking people to clap, even when you are in a suffering, you are in a crisis of your own, you have to keep, happy for Amitabh Bachchan earning so many, how many 100 crores, or Sachin Tendulkar, how many 1,000 crore, or Anil Ambani or Mukesh Ambani, so many lakhs of crores rupees. We have to be happy for them. And this is a new phenomena.
Exactly.
So I would, anything else you want to share, and before we wind up, your views or your
So,
thought or something which are
uh,
not covered by us so far.
just you mentioned Bangladesh. I'd also just like to pick that up once again.
Yeah.
Through my translation endeavor, actually from 2019, I began a relationship or an engagement with Bangladesh as a conscious decision. And I've been visiting every year and building up friends, network of friends, and so on. And people who inform me of what is happening there politically, in literature, in the arts, in cultural life,
Yeah.
and so on. And that's been a very rich and educative experience. And also the opportunity to go outside West Bengal and see Bangladesh. Uh, Bangladesh has the majority of Bengali speaking people. And we talk about Bangla civilization, then the majority of Bangla civilization lives in Bangladesh and
Yeah.
not in West Bengal.
Yeah.
And there is no way that you can de-link Bangla civilization from Islam.
Yeah. Okay.
So there is some particular entity called the Bengali Muslim.
Uh,
That Bengali Muslim is a Bengali plus Muslim.
okay.
So if somebody is a Bengali, but he's not a Muslim, he's a Bengali Hindu, that is different from Bengali Muslim. Or if somebody is Arabic Muslim, he is different from Bengali Muslim.
Yeah, definitely.
So the fusion of religion, language, and culture and history has taken place so powerfully on the soil of Bengal and so many centuries ago that it created this integrated culture.
Yes, right. That I
And
agree.
the fundamentalists wanted to break that connection of religion with language, culture, language, and so on. And it failed. And that is why Bangladesh was created. Bangladesh is a homeland for the Bengali Muslim.
Yes, that's true.
And if you look at the Bengali Muslim in West Bengal, he has lived on the soil of West Bengal for centuries and generations. And then partition happens. And then Hindu refugees come to West Bengal and then rule the roost and displace the Bengali Muslim from his soil that he has been living on for centuries. and he frowns on him as a outsider. Who is the outsider? So
No, this is because, there are different layers of understanding this. This is a very complex thing. And the
extremely complex.
complexity, because,
So
I know my friends in Bangladesh, very long, they have been doing this Enemy Property Act there. And now they opposed it. And they said that, it was a Pakistan legacy. Why
Yep.
should it have been in Bangladesh? But
Right.
it was there after their independence also. And
Exactly.
they questioned it, like most of the Hindus who come, and if somebody want to get rid of their house, they would be pushed through this. And they actually documented in the early 2000, it's now 20 years. I don't know, they will be able to do it now. I'm not sure how is the government, how are the things there, how is the people's movement growing up, because everywhere, wherever the protest movements are happening, actually the right-wing forces are equally powerful to grab those things, whether it is India, whether it is Egypt, whether it is Ukraine, or whether it is any part of the Western capitals now, or Bangladesh. So there are religious right-wing fanatical forces who jump into the people's actually discontent with the regimes.
Yep.
And everywhere in the colonized democracies, we have the autocrats, we have the dictators, democratically elected dictators who are, running the regime for too long. People get suppressed, and then this comes in the form of agitation, has happened in Bangladesh. And and there are different angles to it. Many of the defense people say they are like the American angle. Then there are the other angles. But obviously, she had become highly unpopular in Bangladesh. It's no doubt about it. That
Right.
Sheikh Hasina had become highly unpopular. You can't deny that fact.
More than 25% of West Bengal population is Muslim.
Yes. And nearly 25% Dalits.
Yeah, and this Muslim in West Bengal is almost entirely Bengali-speaking Muslim.
Yeah,
there's a small section of Urdu-speaking Muslim from Bihar or UP, and who have settled in West Bengal, and they had the hegemony, and they also had the aristocrats. But all that power has gone. But so Urdu-speaking Muslims still dominate the discourse among Muslims in Bengal, though the Bengali Muslims are the majority. But this Bengali Muslim, the Sachar committee report talked about what the condition in West Bengal was. That was very embarrassing to the CPM.
Yeah.
So in 34 years, they could not empower the Bengali Muslim. So huge discontentment. And they were one of those who, in the last elections in 2021, ensured that BJP was kept at bay. So fortunately, young people in that community are getting educated. There is a educational group called Al Amin Mission. So on a mission basis, they are producing Muslim boys and girls who go into engineering, medicine, and so on.
That's good.
So that a critical mass can be reached.
Yeah.
And just through their institution, Al Amin Mission School, they are trying to build a bridge between the social elite of Calcutta and those who are lacking all of those institutions. And it is demonstrating results. So there is going to be enlightened movement in the Bengali Muslim community in West Bengal, and that will also, help in the social revolution. All of the, in fact, when you talk about social revolution or social emancipation or the caste question in West Bengal, the majority of the Bengali Muslims are low caste.
Yeah.
They are all coming from occupations which are traditionally low caste, but they happen to be Muslim. So at the grassroots, the Hindu and the Muslim are working side by side in the same profession.
Yeah.
Either they are Muslim or they are low caste Hindu. So it is a revolution waiting to happen. And as I said, like gravity, it has to happen.
Hopefully, I'm very happy with your hopes and imagination actually also, because I won't say imagination. It will, as you say, get translate after some years, as it's an inevitable process, because you can't stop really. You can't keep people subjugated for years. They will come up, and that's true thing. Before it becomes a kind of, it create kind of anarchy. It's better uh, for a democratic process to, enlarge its horizon, involve people, include them in all the decision-making bodies. It is the duties of the political parties also, because the political parties in Bengal actually did not reflect the ground reality of the
Society.
society, and that is why every ideology in Bengal finally helped the dominant communities. So whether it is CPM to Trinamool or from the Congress party, it actually, the poor people might have shifted from one party to other, but the leading communities remain the same. So
Right.
it's a very clever process of democratic system, where the leading communities actually, they just smell the discontent of the people and join those protest movement, and lead them, because they join as a leader rather than a follower or a participant in the movement. And
Yeah.
I don't know when will it happen, where the Dalits or the other all Dalit communities from different religion join hand and dominate the Bengal politics. I am looking forward for that day, but I hope that this infiltration from the top will not be there again to lead the movement of there. So that,
Right.
let's see how it happens. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramaswamy, for being part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.